Hi everyone, and welcome back to Lavender Cottage. This is going to be one of our standard podcast episodes. It's going to be number 23, I believe. So my name is Anna.
I'm Pia.
And we are twin sisters from Melbourne or Naarm in Australia, and this is our podcast series where we share about all of the different fibre arts related things that we have been working on. So for today I have knitting exclusively, I'm pretty sure, and Pia has...
Mostly sewing and a bit of knitting.
Yeah. But sometimes we have other bits and pieces like crochet, embroidery, weaving, that type of thing.
Yes.
But yeah, for today, just knitting and sewing. Before we jump into the podcast, as usual, we would like to acknowledge that we're recording this video on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation and extend our respect to their elders past, present and emerging, as well as any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people who happen to be watching this video today. So yeah, thank you for clicking on this video, or thank you for coming back if you have seen one of our videos before. It's always nice to receive comments on our videos, and yeah, that also just helps out our channel as well. So if you do happen to find this episode interesting, you can also give it a thumbs up, and we always welcome any feedback on any of our projects. And I think Pia definitely does have one thing later on that she specifically wants some comments about. Yep. So I probably won't do a what I'm wearing because my what I'm wearing is also an FO. So I think, yeah, we will just jump into the first.
Because you've also got what you're wearing is in what I'm wearing.
Yes, it's what I'm wearing and what Pia's wearing are both garments that I have recently finished.
Yes.
But, actually, I think this one, actually I did have it as an FO in our last episode.
Okay.
So maybe Pia's modelling this for me. I can tell you what it is. It's my Brume sweater, which is a design from Andrea Mowry, and this one is a sweater that she designed to knit using a DK Suri silk base. The one that she used was from Farmer's Daughter Fibres. It's called their Odang DK base. I didn't use that exact base. I used Chloe from Woollen Works. It's her DK Suri silk base, but I'm relatively certain that it's the same base as the Farmer's Daughter Fibres, or if not the same, it's extremely similar because it's the same composition. So it's a 90% Suri alpaca and then 10% silk. So it's got a very sort of thin silk core, and then the alpaca fibres are sort of spun into that silk core. And this one, the colourway, is from her Barbie collection that she did last year in the colourway Fur Coat. So it's kind of like an off-white with these sort
mild
of
kind of effect,
grey kind of. I think on the other bases it's more sort of like distinct speckles, but obviously on the fluffier bases it's kind of just a bit of a like watercolour effect. So I had that as an FO in our last episode, but I hadn't blocked it yet. And I did find, so I think I mentioned in the previous episode that I found that the arms were a bit small, and I had heard from a few people who've knit this is the first Andrea Mowry pattern that I've knitted. Quite a few people have commented that her arms tend to be quite narrow relative, I guess, to the size of the body. So I was thinking I wasn't sure if in the future, if I knit another one of her patterns, if I would actually knit a larger size on the arms as what I did from the body. But when I blocked this, I basically knit the sleeves probably a bit longer, like almost to about here, than what I would really want them to be. And then I did kind of block the sleeves like relatively aggressively to get them a bit wider. And I guess because of the nature of this yarn, that it's quite fluffy and you don't have very good stitch definition, I think that worked well. I'm not too sure if it was in a yarn that had a better stitch definition, if I would like to do that effect.
A bit strange.
Yeah, that you would see that the gauge on the sleeve was significantly different to the gauge on the body. If that might look a bit weird. So I'm not too sure if I did knit a pattern of hers in the future that had better stitch definition. I think I would probably just knit maybe like up to the elbow and then block it and try it on. And if I didn't like it, rip it back and then knit the larger sleeve instead. Or do less decreases or something like that. But I think as it is, Pia's a bit smaller than me. Like I knit the size 5, so it's probably got more positive ease on her than what it does on me, but I'm still happy with the fit. And yeah, I think I would potentially knit something in this pattern knit the Brume again. I would definitely like to knit more things in the DK Suri base. I think the only thing that gives me a little bit of pause is I would like to see, because I haven't really worn this sort of out and about yet.
It goes with like wearing with like a bag. Or
I just
like
want to see like if it felt very, like if it is a more like a delicate kind of, it just fit to me. It feel, I guess because it's so light as well. Like this jumper, they're both sort of DK weight, but this one I used about 370 grams of yarn, and this one I used 745 grams of yarn.
It's quite warm, though.
Yeah, it's very warm, even though it's quite lightweight, but it just kind of gives me the impression that maybe it is a slightly more delicate fabric.
That it would be, I guess, for more like going out. And that it's maybe not an everyday wear kind of garment.
Possibly, yeah. But I think wearing like a fluffy jumper, like if you wear it with like some nice jeans and boots and maybe some earrings, like you can, I think
dress it up.
You can dress up a fluffy
I mean, I suppose
jumper.
the other thing, if this is just a bit more delicate, that it could be for just, wearing around the house kind of thing. If you a cold day and you just want like something cozy to wear at home, if you're not going to be wearing like, bag straps, because I suppose that's the main thing that causes that kind of wear is straps from like a backpack or a bag.
Yeah, that's the main one that I think I would be concerned about. And like Pia, you've said that your Pia is a bit more, I guess, sensitive to itchiness than what I am, I think. Like she felt this and she was like, no, I think that would be too itchy for me.
Yeah, I don't think, I think if I was going to wear this, I would have to be wearing like a long sleeve, top underneath, that it wasn't sort of right next to my skin.
You reckon that one is soft enough for...
Yeah.
So yeah, that is my what Pia's wearing segment.
And then your FO/what you're wearing.
Yes, so we will now dive into our official section about finished objects, which we call hot off the hooks. So this is hot off the hooks. This is where we share any finished projects that we've completed recently. So this is my only other FO for this episode. And I think in our last episode, it was almost an FO. I only had a few rounds of ribbing on one of the cuffs to go before I finished it. So I obviously did finish it pretty quickly, but it took me ages to block it. I think just because it's been so cold in Melbourne, I was like a bit dreading block, just because I was like, I don't want to put my hands in cold water, and then also I was just like, oh, when I do block this, it's going to take like probably
several days.
And then I was kind of like, well, if I wait for it to be warm enough that it will dry quickly, it will be too warm to actually wear it. So I just have to get over it and do it now. And yeah, I think I did leave it on the blocking mat for about a week just to be 100. And you know how sometimes it's hard to tell if something is
damp or just cold.
Yeah, if it's just cold or if it's actually still slightly damp. So yes, it did take me a while to get around to blocking it. But so this is my Sandro pullover. It's an all over cabled sweater with a European shoulder construction. I still don't really, I think I haven't knit enough garments to fully understand what makes this shoulder European specifically, but that's what it is. So the designer is Flaminia Laura Chini, who is on YouTube as Knitting Flem. And this, I started this out as a test knit for her, but I actually didn't finish before the test deadline. But I did, so I just kept knitting until I finished it. This yarn that I've used is from Bendigo Woolen Mills. It's their Woodlands 8 ply, which is now discontinued, but they have a similar yarn currently available that I think is called Rustic Tweed from memory. It's similar in terms of the look, that it's kind of like this natural colour with the different coloured neps, but the fibre is different. So this one is 83% wool, 10% bamboo, 4% mohair, so it's got a tiny bit of mohair, and then 3% those colourful neps. And I'm pretty sure the new one that they have is basically, there's no mohair or bamboo, it's just a tweedy yarn. So slightly different but similar look, but probably I think the bamboo maybe just gives this a bit more drape. So I knit the size 5 of this again. The only modifications I made, I think I knit the body slightly longer than what was recommended, and I think I knit 1 or 2 rows less on the collar than what was recommended, just because, I don't know, in Australia I feel like it's, I mean, I know this has got a really high neck, but I feel like maybe because this is a bit more soft, it's okay. I don't really like having like really like high neck jumpers. Like I just feel like the Australian winter doesn't get cold enough that you would get a significant amount of wear out of a jumper with a really high neckline. And the other modification I did to this, so it's an all-over cabled sweater, and all the cabling is in the same direction. In the pattern, they're all right cross cables, but I don't know why, but I find a left cross cable is easier for me to knit without a cable needle. So I decided to actually just knit all the cables as a left cross cable instead of as a... So my cables, I guess, just like twist that way instead of twisting this way. But because they're all in the same direction...
Yeah, I suppose it's the kind of thing
like,
that...
no one would know.
If someone was like very like...
Well, I mean,
closely scrutinising your thing versus the pattern,
yes,
they would notice.
Yes, they might notice a difference, but apart from that, I don't think they would notice. And I did size down with my needles to the pattern recommends a 4mm, and I use a 3.5. But I think I find most DK weight patterns, I think a 3.5mm needle is what I usually end up using to get gauge. So yeah, I'm very happy with how it turned out. The pattern is now available. Like if you're interested, you can already now purchase the pattern. I think it's like quite a classic kind of like almost a bit timeless. Like I don't think it's super in fashion, but I don't think it will ever be out of fashion either. Like I think I can probably basically wear this sweater until it falls to bits kind of thing.
Yes,
and it will always be like a good like staple.
And it's I suppose because it's fairly neutral colour as well. That
it'll
go with anything.
Go with anything. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's my only FO. And yeah, this one did use a lot of yarn. So I'm pretty sure I did knit it a little bit longer than what was recommended, but I did use quite a bit more yarn. I think for my size, I think I was supposed to only need about 650 grams and I used almost 750, so about 100 grams more. But I'm not too sure as well. I think in her sample, I think she maybe used Cascade 220, so that's 220 meters per 100 grams, and this is only 200 meters per 100 grams. So I haven't done the calculations in terms of yardage, but I know in terms of the grams of yarn, I used a bit more, but I'm not complaining because I'm trying to use up yarn. And this particular, I don't know what I was thinking, because this comes in 200 gram balls. I think I bought like 6 balls. Like I bought a stupid amount
so you
of it.
Still have quite a bit left over.
So I still have quite a bit left over, yeah. So
do you have enough to make like another jumper or?
Maybe not another cable sweater, but
I suppose, but would you want to knit another jumper in the exact same yarn, or would you?
Oh, probably not. I think what I would like to use the leftovers for, because they had it in a bunch of other colours, and I bought like one ball of each of the other colours. I want to knit this cardigan called the Heirloom Quilt cardigan, and you basically knit like they kind of look like quilt blocks. So I was going to use this as the background colour, and then the other colours as the like contrast colours. So I think I probably would have enough of this to do that, and then I think that would be different enough because it'd be mixed with other colours that it wouldn't. Yeah, it would be fine to have like another garment with this yarn. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all I wanted to say. I personally don't find the little bit of mohair in this. I do find mohair can be a bit itchy for me, but I think this small amount, and this yarn also did soften up quite a bit after I blocked it. Like it was a bit scratchy before blocking, but I think it's quite nice after blocking. So yeah, I think that is all of my hot off the hooks. And now Pia has been a very busy bee.
Yes, at the sewing machine. So I think I mentioned in one of our previous episodes I bought like a sewing machine just secondhand on Facebook Marketplace, and then I signed up to like a kind of beginner sewing 101 class that I've been going to this term. So I guess the main sort of projects that I started out, which I think I did actually show one of them in our previous episode.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did. Or maybe even two, that checkered or plaid one.
Yes.
And another one which I can't remember.
Yes, which I do have an example of that here. So I started doing this kind of style of tote bag, which is just like a fairly simple tote bag with, it does have a boxed bottom, and it is lined. But then for the straps was just using like the same fabric kind of folded over and then stitched. And then I did try doing a style where you use the same sort of fabric thing for the handles, but stitching it on more onto the bag rather than just being sort of in the just seam allowance.
Is that just to make it a bit stronger? Or?
Yes, and then also to add like a pocket as well. But I guess I found that because you do the top stitching and then you then have to also then stitch stitch the handle down onto the sort of body bit of the bag that it looked a bit sort of like messy. So I decided to try doing some with webbing for the handles, which I actually quite like because I think it adds a bit of contrast. It's like, I suppose it's a bit quicker because you're not having to make the handles. But I think this webbing is like, it's this sort of like canvas kind of webbing that you often see on being used for like bag sort of handles, that it's maybe a bit more sturdy. So I've made quite a few of this pattern of tote bag. So I didn't use a pattern, but I used like a tutorial, I guess. But then I guess you can kind of change around the sizing because everything is basically just rectangles. And that was from a YouTube channel called Schmidt, which we can link.
Yes, actually, we should have said that everything, like all the patterns and yarns and whatever that we talk about, we always put everything in the description box underneath the video. Yes.
Yes. So yeah, a couple of the tote bags that I've made, I've kind of already given away, so I don't have to show, but I do have some of them here. Some of the tote bags that I made, we maybe should have mentioned this at the start. Some of the tote bags that I made was as a gift for a friend of ours, Simone, who's a vet, as kind of a thank you gift for helping with Susie. That you could probably tell by my reaction that we had some sad news that Susie about 2 weeks ago has passed away. And it was our friend Simone, who's a vet, who kind of did the procedure for her.
Helped her across the bridge.
Go to sleep, yeah. So just as a thank you gift, because I think obviously I'm very grateful to have a friend who was able to do that for us, and that was very peaceful, like that it happened at home, so she wasn't distressed or anxious about having to go to the vet for that to happen. But I imagine it's never an easy thing for a vet to do, but probably even more so when it is the pet of someone that they know.
And like Simone had met Susie many times.
Like she's known Susie for as long as I've had her, so like I'm sure that was not an easy thing for her to do, so I did want to do something to sort of thank her for doing that. And like obviously before Susie passed away, that she'd also been very kind of
giving lots of advice,
helpful and giving lots of advice and like coming to check on Susie and that kind of thing. So just to kind of express gratitude.
And they were very nice bags. Like Pia found like a few different fabrics from Spotlight that had like dogs and cats
on them, because obviously being a vet, and she has a dog herself, so I think I took photos of two of them, but one of them I think I forgot to take a photo of. That was just there was like one that was, because one of her favorite colors is teal, and I found this sort of like dog print fabric that had like dogs on a teal background, so I was like, oh, this is really kind of up her alley. And then I found one that was quite maybe a bit more cutesy, that had like dogs and cats, like cartoons,
more cartoon style.
And then one that was maybe a bit more, I'm not going to say formal, but like less kind of like,
well, it kind of, I would say it was kind of almost in this style sort of illustration, like these sort of like almost watercolor illustration of dogs.
And that one, I think I do have a photo of that one, and I do have a photo of the cartoony one. I just don't have the photo of the teal one. One of the like dog breeds, or like that was on the, because I feel like the cartoony one, some of them you could identify what breed of dog, but some of them were just like, I don't know, like this is just like a cartoon dog. But the watercolor one was a bit more like realistic, that you could be like, that's a French bulldog, that's a Shih Tzu or whatever. One of the dogs on there was a black greyhound, which our friend Simone, she has a black greyhound, so I was like, oh, this can be like her Bambi bag. Her dog's name is Bambi. So
she did really like them. I think she said it would be really good for like going to like a vet conference or something, that like heaps of people would be like, oh, where'd you get that bag, kind of thing.
Yes, or like that she can use that for work. Because I did these bags that I've got to show here, I haven't used any sort of like interfacing, but for two of the bags I made for Simone, one of them I made is just to be used as kind of like a grocery shopping bag, because I guess it is quite handy for like a grocery shopping bag that is quite soft, that you can like fold it up and fit it in like, the glove box, or you can fit it in your
like a backpack
or like how I store them just at home, that I like have them all shoved into one bag kind of thing. But for the work ones, I use like some interfacing, that they're a bit more like that they kind of stand up a bit better. But
could fit like a laptop and a binder or something.
Yes, and some like papers and whatnot. Or so this pattern, it's just got like, it's got a boxed bottom. And then I've done on most of them, I think I've done a pocket on the front and the back, so it's got a pocket there and then a pocket there.
Just external pockets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And so when you sew in the pocket, because you basically sew like the webbing handles over the top, so that kind of like seals up the edges of the pocket, and then the sort of piece at the bottom kind of seals up the bottom, and then it's just got like a contrast lining, which I just, for all of them, I've just kind of used like a colour lining that would be kind of similar. So this one, I guess, is just sort of like garden. I think the name of the fabric was called Veggie Patch, that it's got like little...
With all of these ones, is any of these fabrics that you got in Japan or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so this is all fabrics that you bought at Spotlight.
Yes. I mean, I thought, because my fabric from Japan, I guess, is quite sort of like precious, that I should do like practicing with, you know, fabric that can be quite easily, I can get more of, kind of thing, that if I, you know, horribly stuffed it up or whatever, I would not be kind of heartbroken.
Yeah.
This one is sort of like this kind of purple kind of check with daisies, and then I used like a yellow because I figured that kind of went as a good contrast, because I think if I tried to get a purple one, if it was like a bit kind of that thing where it's like similar enough that it looks like you tried to get it the same, but it's different enough that it's not the same.
And I guess purple, there's lots of different tones. Like this is quite a cool purple, but you can get also like warmer purple.
Yes, like this is maybe almost bordering on blue. Like I think actually in some lights it even does look blue. I feel like this is
a bit like 90s, but in a good way. Like,
okay,
I think
like 90s nostalgia.
Yeah.
Yes, I quite like that one. And then this is the, I think I made like a short, like YouTube, I don't know, is it called a short or a reel? Like sewing this one, so if you wanted to kind of see some of the steps, it's not like a tutorial though. Like if you want to see the tutorial, we'll link in the description for the tutorial that I actually followed. So this is just kind of like
this sort of floral canvas.
I think this fabric was maybe from the kind of decorator section of that, sort of like an upholstery
and
kind
then
of
this
fabric.
Sort of like sage green, and we've been calling this the rifle paper code, because knock off,
because it kind of reminds me
has the vibe
of rifle paper code without the price tag. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. This one is like a kind of citrusy. This is quite fun. Citrusy kind of print with like a purple background, and then I use like this quilting cotton that's got like yellow with little dots. So yeah, I think like the quilting blender fabrics is another good option for the lining, because you can, you know, they come in like tons of different colors, so you can find something that will be suitable.
And I guess it's just a slight bit more interest than a solid color, like either the gingham or little dots.
Yes. And then the last one I have to show here is this one which has like a whale kind of print, which I quite like. And so for this one, because this fabric, I guess, could you pass the rifle paper one?
Yes, sorry.
This fabric is directional. Like I think you can see like these like blue, I think it's meant to be lavender, that they point upwards. But I think on the bottom of the bag, like I guess because this print is quite busy and like the sort of motifs of the print are quite small, I think it's not super obvious.
Yeah, that like technically this bit is upside down.
Yes. Yeah. Like if you looked really closely, you could see like this little lavender here, for example, is pointing downwards, but I think the print is busy enough and it's kind of small motifs that it's not super noticeable. Whereas I think for something like the whales, because they're like quite large motifs and I guess it's not as busy a print, I think if you use the whale bit for the whale print for the bottom, that it would be quite noticeable that some of them were upside down. So I decided to just use kind of like a plain fabric, just in a sort of matching, and I suppose this kind of thing is, it's easy to get something that matches because there's a lot of different colors in it, so you just kind of have to get something in that color family. So this was just like a plain cotton duck, I think it's duck, yeah, it's duck, that I used for the bottom, and then I just used like this kind of sea foam, I think was the name of the color, gingham for the lining. So yeah, I definitely have like a lifetime supply of grocery shopping bags now. I mean, I have been using them for doing my like grocery shopping, and I think they're quite handy for me because I live very close by to a supermarket.
Sort of walking distance.
Yeah. So I often do just walk down to the shops and buy like a couple of things at a time. So I do quite like having the pocket, because then I can have like my keys and my phone and my wallet and stuff in the pocket, rather than just rolling around with all the groceries, and then when I get home and I'm trying to find my keys and it's buried under all of the groceries because it kind of falls to the bottom. So I feel like these are quite kind of useful for me. And so yeah, now I have lots of options of what I've made a few more as well, but some of them I've given to... Yeah, why?
Yeah, I think you've made at least like 20.
Yes, I think I've had
went a bit crazy for a while.
I mean, I suppose it's a bit addicting going from like knitting to sewing because like it's not instant gratification, but it's much more quick, I guess, than knitting. That you can kind of knock out and finish a project in an afternoon, sort of thing. But yeah, I think I probably have almost done enough. But in dream weaving, you'll see. I've got some.
Well, I mean, you can give me a bunch of... And actually, I mean, Pia has. She's given me a couple of bags and she gave some to our mum. Who else?
Well, just to Simone.
Simone, okay.
Yeah. But I suppose it is quite a good gift because it's fairly easy to make.
And like anyone can use
a cloth shopping bag, and it's not too expensive to buy the materials. I'd say what actually is expensive is that webbing stuff. So I guess if anyone in Australia does a lot of sewing and has like recommendations for where to get, because I've just been getting it from Spotlight, but I think even when it's on sale, it's about $3 a meter, and I would use maybe 2 to 2.5 meters like per bag.
Oh wow!
So okay, yeah. So I guess
it's like almost as expensive as the fabric.
Yeah, like a big portion of the cost. So I'm sure it's probably something that but I don't know. I guess I've made it
anywhere online.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
If you can get like a roll of like 50 meters or something.
Yes. But I guess that would only be if I was planning to make a lot of these bags, kind of thing. But yeah, whether it would be worthwhile, I probably wouldn't get a roll in like every color under the sun. But maybe like that cream color, I think is fairly like versatile, and then maybe white and black kind of thing. That would be enough to cover most of your bases, and then just if you particularly wanted, you know, a particular colour to...
You can get a specific quantity.
So yeah, that's something I'll look into. The other sewing FOs that I have is this... can I have a look at the notebook actually? Sorry, just quickly. Oh, yes. Okay.
She's made so many things that she can...
So I did this at the sewing class, and this is just like a little zippered pouch that would be kind of the size of like a makeup bag or whatever. For the fabric, I don't actually know what this fabric is because they just have sort of like class fabric that's all kind of like different scraps. So I just picked this sort of like pink, I don't know, it's kind of this slubby sort of like cotton fabric for the outside, and then and they have this other sort of like hot pink fabric kind of for the lining. And so the main purpose of making this was really to practice like doing a zip. And like how you make like the zip kind of sandwich thing to get it to line up and that sort of thing. So that was kind of the main purpose of this. This pouch, what I've actually been using it for is in my work backpack. Like the backpack that I take to work only has 2 compartments. So then for little things like, and doesn't have any pockets. Like it's not, I don't know, it's not a very useful backpack, I guess. But so for things like lip balm or like your
just like your little essentials,
work ID tag or whatever, that kind of rolling around in the bottom, and then I would always be sort of like foraging around in there trying to find those things. So then I've been using this just for my like small little things that I want to kind of keep them
compartmentalize it a bit.
Yeah, that I've just been using that. So I guess it's like, I think the actual like finished product turned out fine. Like it's maybe not perfect, but I think it's fine. But I guess that it also is just something that is like functional and practical. So
I've seen I think people make like bag organizers, like it's almost like a fabric basket with compartments, and then it slots into a bag to like for bags that is a bit like a sort of like a bucket bag if you want to break it up into small
I suppose that would be handy if you're someone who likes to have like, I mean, I'm not really like this, but if you're someone who likes to have like a bag that matches your outfit or whatever, it can, I guess, be a bit annoying to have to transfer everything between different bags.
But if you could just pick up the whole
organizer
thing,
and
I guess it would depend a little bit on the size of the bags.
Yes, whether it was sort of interchangeable between different bags. And the other sewing project that I don't have with me today, but we can maybe just put a photo in, I did an apron. And so the main purpose of that was I wanted to practice attaching bias tape, because I used like bias tape to do around the edges of the apron. So I think I still do need more practice with that. It's not perfect, but again, like an apron is a sort of functional item, so I guess it's not
it
like
doesn't look absolutely perfect.
It's not the end of the world. And I did actually have the print of it is like these sort of like kind of cartoon-esque, like cute sort of like different fruits, which I thought like anything kind of food themed is sort of fairly apron worthy.
Good fabric for an apron. Yeah, we were actually saying before you wouldn't want to make an apron out of this whale fabric.
In case someone thought that you were
cooking whale.
Although it's pretty unlikely.
No, I think because we were just saying that this fabric,
yes,
I mean, it does have like watering cans, but it's also got like honey and jam and little fruits and stuff,
strawberries, and that would also be like make a good apron.
Yes.
But yeah, so I thought that was cute for an apron, and I do actually have quite a bit of that fabric left over, so I asked our sister-in-law if our nephew would like an apron, because I think he's been starting to do like helping in the kitchen with like, I think he has like, I presume it's like a pretend knife and that sort of thing, or like sometimes will help like just stir the mix or whatever they're making. So, and she said he doesn't have an apron, so that would be maybe like just like a fun little thing to add to his sort of kitchen routine is, put on your apron before you go in the kitchen. So I am planning to do that. What I do need though is just like some measurements from her, so
like his height
to get the size. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm sure I could just like look online and find like an apron for like a child.
Well, I mean, I guess like aprons for adults are a little bit one size fits all anyway, or one size fits most, I suppose.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's mainly just like the length. Like obviously, don't want it to be like down to his ankles, because that maybe would be like a bit of a tripping hazard. Yeah. But yeah, I guess the sort of width of it is a bit flexible because you have like the ties at the back. But yeah, so I will we'll put a picture of the apron.
Yes. So that's all your FOs? Do you have any knitting FOs?
No.
I suppose you had heaps last time.
Yes, and I do have an almost FO, but it's not quite finished.
Cool. So
I guess that brings us to the next section.
Yes, we will move into the next section.
All right, so it's time for our section called WIP It Good, WIP being an acronym or abbreviation for work in progress. So this is where we talk about any projects that we're currently working on, and I'm currently wearing what I'm currently working on. I just quickly put that on just to kind of show. So the pattern is called the Perfect Knit T-shirt by Kaitlin Barthold, and I'm knitting it in the Hobbi Friends Cotton Linen yarn, which has now been discontinued, but I'm knitting it, it's like two strands held together in a pink and purple, in the pink and purple colorway.
But Pia's sort of like,
I've just wound it up into one cake just for convenience.
Yeah, she's knitting the two held together, but just wound it up all into one.
So I do really like the, I just kind of lean forward and kind of like hold it kind of like that. I do really like the sort of like colour effect that it's giving. So I'm kind of bummed out that it's been discontinued, but I guess that's kind of nothing you can do about it. But yeah, so the main thing that I'm just not sure about this, I've almost finished like knitting the whole thing. So I just have a bit more to do. I think it's still just like a little bit cropped. Like it's probably kind of falling natural kind of around my belly button, I guess. So I would just maybe want to do a little bit more and then do the ribbing for the bottom. And I think I'm happy with like the fit and like the amount of ease in the body. The main thing that I'm not sure about is the sleeves. Like I feel like there's just like the sleeves have quite a lot of fabric in them, that they're quite loose, which I think is kind of what is intended to be in the pattern. Like when I measured the sort of stitch count of the sleeves and like looking at the recommended gauge in the size that I'm knitting, which is the medium, the circumference of the sleeve is meant to be about 40 centimeters, which to me seems quite big for sleeves, but I guess it's just kind of the style that it's sort of like a loose sleeve. So I'm kind of in two minds whether I should frog the whole thing and either choose a different pattern or maybe do less, because the raglan increases, you do like 1-to-1 between the body and the sleeve, whereas I think you said in some raglan patterns like you'll increase on the body every second round but increase on the sleeve only every fourth round.
So the length of the raglan line is the same, but you have less, the rate is half.
Because I don't know if I like how it sort of like kind of bunches up a little bit. The other thing though, because I am so close to finishing, I think what I've basically decided I'm going to do is just finish it, block it, and then see how it drapes like when it's been blocked, because I guess because this yarn is like a cotton linen blend, that I think when you're knitting it feels a bit sort of like stiff, but if it does kind of like soften up after it's been washed, if the sleeves will kind of drape a bit differently, then I might prefer the look of it when it kind of drapes. The other thing is I don't know if the yoke is quite deep, because this like the bottom of the armhole is kind of like basically like the middle of my bust, but I guess for like a summer garment you don't want it to be like right up in your armpit and getting all kind of like sweaty. But like,
but if you feel kind of like that, if I kind of
hold my arm sort of out straight, that you could kind of almost like see like my bra kind of through the armhole, which I'm not like concerned about for like modesty or whatever, but just whether that's maybe a bit deep. So yeah, I'm just not too sure if maybe I should have knitted a size down, but then I don't know. I guess the body does have quite a bit of ease, which I guess is kind of good for a summer thing, that you don't want something like super skin tight. If that would be a bit sort of uncomfortable. I'm just I'm a bit unsure. So I think because I'm so close to finishing, I think the best option probably is to just finish it, block it, and then make an assessment
and decide. Like I think I remember when you were asking me about, could I do this, could I do, like, one of the things that did go through my head was kind of like, are you trying to get this pattern to be something that it's just not?
Yes, because I think that was kind of like what I was thinking with the sleeves. Like, if I want the sleeves to be a bit more fitted, that I was like, have I done something wrong? But then when I like checked the stitch count and like looked at the gauge, that I was like, no, I think it's actually, they're meant to be like this. That I suppose if I am not happy with the sleeves, then perhaps I just actually need to knit a different pattern.
Yes. The other thing that, but I think that you said that there wasn't really anything. I suggested that Pia could also look at other people's project pages on Ravelry, and if there was someone that she liked the fit of their sleeves better, go into their project page and see if they actually describe any modifications that they've done. I think possibly this is just not the pattern to achieve the look that you would like.
Yeah, so I think what I liked about this pattern is I did like the sort of like the scoop neck. Like, I think I was considering I think it's called the Tolster tee.
Yeah,
but I think that has a bit more of like a crew neck kind of neckline.
You could always do the neckline shaping from this.
And then do like the sleeves from that one. So yeah, but anyways, because I'm as I said, so close to finishing, I might as well just finish it, block it, and then decide what to do from there. So hopefully, it might be an FO in the next episode, or it might be back to dream weaving if I have to pull out the whole thing.
It might be a t-shirt, it might be a ball of yarn.
So we'll see. We'll see. But I do really like the colours. Like, it is, this is very sort of like me in terms of colours. So yeah, that's my current kind of WIP at the moment.
Oh, okay. And is that your only WIP?
Well, the only WIP that I'm sort of actively working on.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I guess sewing, it seems like a lot of your sewing projects are only in the WIP stage, like
for a few hours.
Yeah, like you kind of just start.
Well, I guess I just haven't really gotten to the stage of making like complicated garments that might take,
over several weeks.
That you would do over a couple of days to weeks. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I have 3 WIPs to talk about. This first one hasn't really advanced very much from where it was last time. So these are my Beekeeper socks. So I have finished one sock. They look a bit funny, I guess, because of all the cabling when they're sort of empty. But so on the front, it has this all over sort of honeycomb cable, and then just a 2x2 ribbing on the back, and obviously just stockinette on the bottom of the foot. And this is where I'm up to with the second sock. So I think in our last episode, I was knitting somewhere on the foot. So I've done the heel and started knitting on the leg, but I've still got a fair bit to go. The pattern is called the Beekeeper socks. The pattern is by a designer called Jenn Emerson. And the yarn that I'm using, it's probably easiest to see the colour like on the bottom of the foot. Is from Manos del Uruguay, and it's in their Alegria base, which is their sock yarn, and the colourway is called Paradise. This is my first experience with knitting a toe up sock, and I haven't really enjoyed it that much, mainly because I still haven't figured out, like, the bind off for the cuff on this sock is way too tight. Like, I think I'm going to have to take this out and sort of do something to fix it, because like I can get it over my foot, but on my leg I just feel like it's kind of like sort of digging into
that it will be uncomfortable.
I don't think I think it would stop me from actually wearing them, so I need to fix that. And I have had a few suggestions from different people about like I did a tubular bind off, which is quite, normally quite stretchy, but I just feel like it's still not stretchy enough, so I'm going to try a different approach. And the other thing is, I don't sort of want to I guess be super negative, but I'm not the biggest fan of this pattern. Like, there's been a few things that like with the cast on, she then gets you to go straight into increasing. But as far as I can tell with the Judy's Magic cast on, you do need to knit at least one round of plain before you can start increasing. With the heel, I think there's a row missing in the heel instructions because you get to the last round of decreasing and then she tells you to just go like without sort of reading the pattern, and it's a paid for pattern, but basically it kind of implies that you've finished, but then you still actually have 2 double stitches left. And I kind of just like fudged, like just kind of knit those stitches together. So the pattern is not the best. And I think if I wanted to knit a sock with this appearance again, like this honeycomb cable stitch, you can do it either cuff down or toe up. I think I would just use...
because I suppose this pattern, this sort of like motif is kind of like symmetrical.
Yes, yeah.
In a vertical plane.
There's no reason that this sock needs to be a toe up sock. I think I kind of just wanted to knit it as a toe up sock also to teach myself how to knit socks toe up, because I've always knit socks from the cuff down. So I don't know if maybe I should have just done a vanilla sock for my first toe up sock. I will finish them. I will wear them. Like, I like the yarn. I do like this.
The colour's really nice.
Honeycomb. And I think that this yarn, I don't know, I think I didn't really think about it that much at the time, but I think it's variegated enough that it has some interest to the colour, but it's not so variegated that it sort of competes with that honeycomb texture on the front of the sock. But I think I probably wouldn't be in a hurry to knit this specific pattern again. Even though I probably will like the final outcome, there have been parts of the process that I haven't enjoyed as much, is I guess how I will say that. Hopefully they will be finished soon, but I just haven't really I've really only been knitting on those on the train, so they just haven't had a lot of work recently. My next FO, this one is a bit of a
FO
WIP. Oh, WIP, sorry. Wrong terminology.
It's still got the needles in it.
This is a one that I've kind of revived that was in hibernation for a bit. So I actually started this towards the end of last year. And in the last maybe 2 weeks, I think, I put this stitch marker in and I've knit from here to here. So this is my mini mock neck tank. It's the second one that I am making. And it's a pattern by Jessie May Designs. The yarn that I'm using is from a UK-based dyer. I actually don't know if they still dye yarn, called Somerset Yarns. And this one is... I don't really know why I bought this yarn, because it's a merino bamboo. So it's 80% superwash merino, 20% bamboo, but it's like a sock weight yarn, or fingering weight, but you wouldn't use it for knitting socks. So I think I was like, what can I do with just 2 skeins of this? And then I was like, oh, I could make this. And I just figured, I don't know, maybe bamboo will make it a bit nicer for summer. I sort of I'm not too sure what was going on in my brain when I purchased this yarn, but I do like it. Like, it's this sort of like very, very light pink with lots of different sort of multicolored speckles. I have been helical knitting this the whole way, and in the bits where I was knitting flat, I was alternating skeins every 2 rows, because I think I'm pretty sure this would have pulled quite.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I think I just inhaled some fluff.
Oh, sorry.
From somewhere.
Probably from this jumper. I think it would have pulled quite significantly if I had not done that. So I do find helical knitting a bit of a pain, but I think
it's worth
for
it
certain yarns, I think I much prefer the result of doing it. So I am knitting the size extra large, I believe, which will give me neutral ease. So I think she actually recommends that you knit this with about 2 inches of negative ease. And a few people from my knitting group said when they knitted it, they really wish that they hadn't gone for that much negative ease. So the first one that I did, I actually knit it in the size 2XL, which gave me a little bit of positive ease, and I did feel just at the underarms it was maybe just a bit too much fabric, so I thought I'd try the next size down, and I have tried this on, and I think I was happy with the fit with going just for the neutral ease. I have done a slight modification as well, so in the pattern under the arms, you only do this ribbing, I think, for 5 rounds, but I'm actually continuing this panel of 1 by 1 ribbing the whole way down the side, which I guess will just make the size slightly more flexible, having that panel of ribbing on both sides. And I basically also where I put this Progress Keeper, when I took it off the needles and put it on some tried on tubing and tried it on, where that Progress Keeper is basically is like just underneath my bust, so that is also just to help me
in terms of the length,
okay. That I want to knit the garment for. So I think that's more or less all I wanted to say. Oh, and as usual, I have sized down. I really don't know if this is right, because I was looking, the pattern says that she uses a 3.5mm needle, and I'm using a 2.25.
Oh.
So I can't remember if that's what I did with my other one, or I don't know how, because I usually do have to size down, but that just seems
quite a bit,
lot.
Yes.
So either Jessie May is like an insanely tight knitter, or, because I'm pretty sure with my other one I did get gauge. My problem is, which I am trying to be a bit better about, is that I don't take very good notes.
Okay.
So often I know that I did size down with my needles, but I can't remember by how much. So I'm not 100% sure if I use a 2.25mm for my other one, but I am, like, that's the needles that's currently in here. So that's obviously what I'm using. And I guess that's also the problem with having things that have been hibernating for like 6 months or whatever, is that you kind of forget what you did.
And I suppose it's the type of thing, like, I don't need to write this down, I'll definitely remember it.
And it's like, as soon as you say to yourself that you will remember it, like, that's when you need to write it down. But yeah, I mean, regardless, I will finish this. I will enjoy it. And I'm going to try, I think I might very soon basically pick up the neckline and do that, because the sleeves are already finished. Like, you don't actually knit like a sleeve. I don't know what that's called for when it's a sleeveless, because you just have a few stitches of slip stitches that kind of make that natural edge. So the only finishing is to like finish the body and do the ribbing on the bottom, and then do the ribbing on the neck. So I think I might do the neck, and then I can basically just knit until I run out of yarn.
Okay.
So that I can, because I feel like this is, I don't know what else I could use this yarn for, just because it's a bit of a different composition. So that is the plan with that one.
That you might as well just use up all the yarn that you have.
As much as I can, kind of thing. Yeah. So, and kind of this is how much I've got left. So I think that is probably, I don't know, maybe like 50 grams left-ish. So yes. So I've still got a fair way to go on the body, but it is coming along. And I think that one is small enough that I can also take it on the train, whereas this, my last WIP, is definitely one that is at the stage that I can really only work on it at home. So this is my final WIP. This is my long paddock jumper or sweater by Vera Marku, who is Vera Loves Knitting. I think that's her sort of like social media name. And this is part of the Bendigo project, and the theme for the Bendigo project this year is stripes. So I guess this gets the stripes not from the colour but from the texture.
Ribbing, yeah.
So I have actually finished the body of this, and I've just last night I picked up for the first sleeve. And this one I also was on hold for a little while because I blocked it. So I was a bit concerned because the pattern recommends that you should use a yarn for this that has something like cotton or alpaca, like something that will be very drapey, and not a yarn that's very springy like wool. Because Vera thought that to get, because obviously when you knit this, the vertical ribbing wants to cinch in this way and the horizontal ribbing kind of wants to cinch in this way. So to be able to get everything to sort of sit nicely and not have a really sort of wonky and lopsided garment, you need to use a yarn that doesn't really have any memory and has a lot of drape. I stupidly didn't really read that. Like, I think I often don't read the and this is another thing I should just not be.
Oh, I suppose is it kind of like, you know, like recipe blogs or whatever. They're like, oh, this reminds me of my childhood,
like picking lemons
with
my
grandma or whatever. And you're just like, I just get to the point. Like,
I'm gonna skip to the recipe. I think I was just like, how many stitches do I cast on, kind of thing. And it's a DK yarn. All right, I'm set. And I really wanted to knit something. Like, I wanted to use my stash. I didn't want to have to buy yarn, so I was quite limited on the yarns that I had available. I didn't have anything like that. Like, if I would have followed her recommendation, I would have had to purchase yarn. So I didn't do that. And then I think I saw someone else on a podcast talking about how they were making this, and they were using a pure wool yarn, and that they were really worried about it. And then I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a problem. And then I actually read. So this is like all my fault, basically.
Yes.
I read the pattern and I was like, ooh, oops, I should have. So I think when I had knit maybe half the body, I blocked it and it seemed okay. But I was still a bit like, oh, is this still a good idea, or should I just like frog it and do something else? So then I knit the rest of the body and the neck. So basically I had a vest essentially, and I blocked that. And I personally think it's fine. Like, I did have to pin it out quite, you know, I pinned it out quite, not aggressively, but quite rigorously, I'll say. I pinned out all of the edges, and I think it's fine. I've put it on, and I don't think it, like, sits on an angle. So
yeah, it looks really even. I guess this is a similar dilemma to what I'm having, that, like, you've already invested so much time to get to the point that you are. And then it's a potential, like, do I rip it all out, even though it might actually be fine, or do I invest more time to finish it off and then confirm that it is not fine? Kind of thing.
So I personally think, and I mean, the sleeves is just stockinette, so the sleeves isn't really going to affect. So I think because the body has worked out, I think I'm fairly confident that it's going to be fine. So yeah. And, like, I don't know if, like, Vera's recommendation was just, you know, this is what I used and this is what all my testers use, so this is what I'm comfortable to recommend. I don't know if she had anyone test it in a pure wool yarn and say this did not work at all. I'm honestly not sure sort of what that recommendation was based on. And, I mean, she's obviously a very experienced knitter and designer, so I'm not saying that her recommendation, I wouldn't follow her advice. I'm just saying that in this one particular situation,
I didn't follow her advice, but it seems to have still turned out okay.
Yes, exactly. So after all that talk about the yarn, I should actually say what the yarn is. So it's another Bendigo Woolen Mills. I also thought it would be just fun to knit something for the Bendigo project from Bendigo Woolen Mills yarn. So this is another one of their limited edition 8-ply yarns. I think this was their limited edition from last year. So it was called Mosaic, was the name of the yarn, and the colourway that I'm knitting is called Dark Pine. The only other thing, and I mean, again, I feel like this is just like a litany of like errors on my part, although maybe it is also like just the difference in colours on computer screens. This colour is kind of giving me the vibes of the jumper that we wore in high school. So I'm a bit also like not 100% as keen on the colour now as when I bought it. And I'm not too sure if that's just like a difference in how colours are represented on different computer screens, or if I was just having a bit of a brain fart when I bought it. I'm not sure.
But I think, like when you tried it on with like jeans, it looked like, I think it looked fine. If you wore it with an ugly sort of tartan kilt type skirt, like what our school uniform was made of, then it would probably look like you were wearing your old school uniform. But if you just style it. And
if all else fails, my mum said she likes the colour. So if I end up really not liking it, and I think if I did give this jumper away to my mum, I think I would probably knit it again in a different colour, because I do really I think it's really interesting, this sort of like vertical contrast, and horizontal in the same garment. I think that's a really cool concept. So if I end up not loving the colour, it will be inherited by my mum. So I think that is, I had 3 WIPs, my socks, my top, and my sweater. So now we will quickly pause, because you're probably freezing.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit cold, so I think I want to put the Brume sweater back on.
Yeah, before we move into our next section.
All right, so this brings us to the final segment of our podcast, which is called Dream Weaving, and this is where we talk about any kind of future plans, sometimes new purchases. I bought something at the Coburg Yarn Market, but I didn't bring it with me, so I don't have it to show and tell.
That's okay.
But yeah, just any sort of like future kind of plans.
Yes. I think I have been showing sort of acquisitions in my monthly vlog videos. So,
okay, maybe
I have just sort of like
transition to not
monthly crafty moments vlog where often if I've been to a show, I guess at the end of it, I'll show kind of what I got. So yeah, I don't have any acquisitions today, just a couple of plans. Yeah. But you can go first because you're already unfurling your fabric.
I mean, I guess this is kind of an acquisition, but also for a plan. So I guess I did say I was like almost done with making tote bags, but then I did find this fabric, which is a remnant at Spotlight. So I think for this piece of fabric, they only charged me like $1.50.
Oh my goodness, that's so cheap.
And yeah, I really like this. It's got sort of like
all these French things.
French kind of themed things. So I do want to make some tote bags out of this. And so I think I will have enough for 1 or 2 tote bags. Our mum is doing like French lessons at the moment, so that would be potentially like a nice gift for her, for like a bag to like take to her French class. What's this?
Oh, it's upside down.
Moulin Rouge.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was looking at it from it upside down. I thought it was like a crab or something. No, it's
there's like the Moulin Rouge.
There's
like a
dancers,
croissant,
macarons,
the Louvre, the Arc de Triomphe, the Eiffel Tower. And then some things I think this is just sort of meant to be like a fashionable French woman kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I thought that was quite cute. And so what I need to find for this, because this is kind of similar to the Wales, I guess, that it is very obviously directional fabric. To have a contrasting colour for the bottom bit. And I mean, white would be an obvious choice because the background is white, but I think
not very practical.
Yeah, white would just get dirty very easily. So probably I'll try and find something in just sort of like a solid colour, either in this sort of like aqua kind of colour, or purple or pink, I think would be the kind of obvious choices to go for. Just something that matches kind of the fabric to do for that one. Mm-hmm. And then the other sort of dream weaving, I don't have it with me, but I did purchase ages ago actually. I think maybe at the Coburg Yarn Market last year, from a dyer called Dyed by Hand Yarn. So I think she's based somewhere in regional Victoria. I bought 2 skeins of it was like she calls it like one hit wonder, so I guess like just maybe kind of experimental stuff. It's I would describe it as sort of like rainbow, but like kind of a jewel sort of rainbow. So it's like very me. But I only have 2 skeins of it, so I guess, and it's a fingering like a sock yarn. I would maybe like to incorporate it somehow into some sort of like sweater or jumper. So I guess if anyone has suggestions of a pattern for kind of like showcasing like a special yarn and then using some other probably just either tonal or like solid colour for kind of the background, if anyone has kind of suggestions for that, I'll put a picture. We can put a picture of what the yarn looks like. But I think it's actually like I'm quite impressed with this dye's sort of ability to like blend basically all the colours of the rainbow without it turning to mud, because I guess that's something, I mean, I presume with dyes it would be the same as like mixing like paints, and like that if you end up mixing like all the colours together you end up making brown kind of thing.
Yeah, I have a feeling sometimes how they do it is like it's in this sort of bain-marie pan and then they pour on, you know, a bit of red here, a bit there, and then they wait for that to all to completely absorb. And then they do the next. I think, and I mean, I know absolutely nothing about dyeing yarn, but I think sometimes it's just done in like many layers kind of thing.
And that's how to avoid like the colours.
Yeah, because if you just tipped everything in at once,
it would turn to brown. So I really like that yarn, but because it was sort of like a one-hit wonder, like I obviously can't get any more of it, and so I only have two skeins of it. So were you
possibly thinking about using it for like a colourwork yoke, or?
Yeah, maybe something like that, like whatever would be sort of achievable to do, because I think because I only have 2 skeins, like I don't have enough to do like an entire like top. But
unless you wanted to do something like the tank top, but do you think you'd rather do like a long sleeved garment?
Maybe. So I don't know if I would have enough to do sort of like maybe like the body of a sweater, and then do maybe like the sort of ribbing and like the sleeves in like a solid colour, or
Probably not quite, unless you held it double with something.
Yeah.
To make it like a DK weight.
Yeah, so if anyone has any like suggestions for that, I mean, I suppose that could be maybe something that I could just get like a swatch of to see like, do I like the look of this when it's held double with something else?
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be something that I need to figure out. And then the other sort of dream weaving stuff is one of our close friends is having a baby, which will be her first baby in October. So I wanted to try and sew some baby things. And I think like I will definitely try and do some things like burp cloths, because I guess that's a fairly obvious thing that's just sort of a rectangle fabric that will be quite easy to sew.
And it's the kind of thing that you need lots of, because I suppose they get dirty very quickly.
Easily.
Yeah.
So it would be quite handy, I guess, to have like a pile of
and I guess
a dozen of them or whatever.
In October in Melbourne it's still quite cool, so I think like laundry won't dry very, very quickly kind of thing.
Yes, yeah. So that will be, I guess, something easy that, I mean, that's probably the kind of thing that you can just bang out a whole bunch of them in, an afternoon kind of thing. And then what else was I...
Stuff.
Yes, yeah. So then, but the sort of more ambitious, I guess, sewing project is I have purchased a pattern for and started thinking about fabric and that to make a nappy bag, or we say nappy, which I think is also what people say in the UK, but if anyone's watching from the US, nappy is what we say for diaper. So like a maternity diaper bag. So I have kind of picked out like a fabric that I want to use and a pattern. Like I've purchased a pattern and I've purchased fabric. I just have to go and collect it from Spotlight. So I've started doing it just a bit of, I just bought like a small sort of swatch of the fabric and some wadding to do a bit of practicing, to do some quilting. So I think I've decided that I want to make the bag sort of a quilted bag. Part of the reason for that is our friend Emma said her preference would be, where possible, to avoid any sort of synthetic fibres. So I think that kind of rules out using like those, that kind of like foam stabilizer that people normally put in bags to make them kind of stand up. So this is like cotton sort of wadding for quilting, which like it does give the fabric quite a bit of kind of stability and the sort of rigidity to stand up on its own, which I made like this tiny little sort of like sample thing that it does stand up on its own, which I know this is very small, so that probably also is like influencing its ability to kind of stand up on its own.
Cute.
But yeah, so, and that's what I've been just kind of practicing doing the quilting. So this was actually just on like my sort of fairly basic budget sewing machine, and this actually I didn't even use a walking foot for, so
it's hard to see the quilting on this side, but I think on this side you can see the quilting a little bit better.
Yeah, so
you've done like diagonal and straight lines,
kind of diamond sort of shape. Yeah, I think for the actual bag itself I might just do the straight lines, like kind of vertical straight lines. I figured this fabric is probably quite good because I think it's like a nice sort of
done like just a sort of square grid.
I think it's like a nice colour that it's sort of not, like it's fairly neutral, that it will go with like a lot of different outfits. It's not overly sort of like baby themed, that when they no longer need it as a nappy bag that you would be able to still use it as just like a general kind of tote bag. And I think also with this,
I think the polka dot still has a bit of like a whimsy about it that kind of is like baby-esque. But I think also just this particular print, because it is like polka dots but they're not sort of symmetrical, because I think if I just did like a solid colour or anything with like stripes or like a very large motif print, I think if my quilting lines aren't perfectly straight it would really kind of stand out, or anything with like stripes I think would really stand out, solid colour would really stand out. And also if you're using like polka dots that are like symmetrical, like perfect sort of array of polka dots, that maybe that would make it kind of stand out if my lines weren't straight. So I think this print is kind of like busy and asymmetrical enough that it will be a bit more forgiving if my quilting is not perfectly straight. So yeah, I think this will be a good choice for the fabric. I might just do for the bottom of the bag, find a sort of like fairly plain kind of neutral, maybe off-white sort of canvas to just have the base be a little bit more sturdy and a bit more durable. But yeah, we'll see. I'm sure I'll be able to find something like that fairly easily that's just kind of fairly plain. But yeah, so I think this is going to be the best option to do a bag that will stand up on its own without using sort of like foam or like synthetic interfacing. I think having a bag that stands up on its own, I figured would just be a bit more practical
as a maternity bag, because if often when you know, reaching into the bag to get things in and out, if you've got baby in one arm, that you only have one hand to get things in and out of the bag. So I think a very soft bag that's kind of like flopping over onto itself would make it
just make life a bit more difficult.
That a bag that kind of stands up on its own, that you can just like look in, reach down to the bottom and grab exactly what you need out of the bag with one hand, and not having to hold the bag open with the other hand, I think would probably just be a lot more practical. So yeah, I did try with 2 layers of the wadding, and this fabric is quite sort of like holding up on itself. I think when I tried with just 1 layer, it's maybe still going to be a bit too floppy.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think 2 layers is like that, it's sturdy enough, but it's not going to be like super duper bulky either. So yeah.
No, I think this looks really nice.
Yeah. So yeah.
I like the diamonds, but I mean, if you just prefer the straight lines.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just not too sure, like, would you do the diamonds like this? Because the diamonds, I mean, again, would you have it like that, or would you want the diamonds to be kind of like on that plane?
No, I think how you had it before looks nice. But I mean, it's your project, so you do what you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I'll just have to have a think about that. So yeah, and I'm glad that I like thought to try to do this, because originally I was thinking I really would like to use a quilted fabric, but there's not really many options for like pre-quilted fabrics in Australia. That's basically plain colours, and then that you can obviously buy sort of like very nice like printed ones online from somewhere like Etsy, but I think they're all like, once you factor in all the shipping costs and everything, that it would just be getting very, very expensive. That I'd probably be spending, you know, over $200 on supplies to buy a bag, when you could probably buy a nice maternity bag for around $100. So so yeah, I did ask our friend, like, in terms of the synthetic fibres, how she would feel about like polyester thread, and I guess things like zips and that sort of thing, which I think are probably quite difficult to find a zip that is like the sort of like tape that the zipper coil is attached to is made of natural fibres. And she said for like very small amounts they're happy with some synthetic, and I guess if anything's going to have like Velcro and things like that will have some synthetic fibre content. So
yeah, I think it's probably in this day and age pretty hard to completely eliminate it.
Yes. And I suppose just certain things for like practicality reasons, baby things that need to have like zips and that kind of thing on them, that it's just a lot more practical than buttons and that sort of thing. So the thread I'm using is polyester thread, but just trying as much as possible to keep with sort of natural, non-synthetic based materials for most, as much as I can. So that's my main other. Oh, and I guess I should just say, for in terms of like other like sewing, dream weaving, I have enrolled in the next term of the sewing classes. So the term that I have just finished was just kind of the basic 101 kind of thing, for, I guess, assuming that potentially you've never even used a sewing machine before. So it was like fairly basic. So then the next level is focusing more on garment construction. So I will have to pick a pattern. I've kind of got a pattern in mind of just sort of like a fairly basic short-sleeved summer blouse made out of like a woven fabric that's a fairly loose fitting style, but I think that will be a good place to start for garment construction, with woven fabric, so not something stretchy, and just something that is not super fitted as well, that I guess the sizing is a bit kind of forgiving, but still learning a few more techniques. So yeah, look forward to that, and hopefully we'll have some FOs of sewing garments somewhere down the track, and not just endlessly making shopping bags. Although it is fun.
Lovely. So is that all? That's your dream weaving?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
My dream weaving is, I guess, like at the moment I'm quite focused on this long paddock sweater, so I kind of don't want to think too much further. And then once I finish that, I actually do have another sweater that I started last year called the Fleck Pullover. There's an intarsia sweater, it's knitted flat.
I remember that one.
So I think I've only knit about half of the front panel. So I think once I finish this sweater or jumper, I think I will actually go back to that rather than casting on something new, because I do want to kind of reduce the number of WIPs that I have, and kind of work on things that have kind of been neglected for a long time. But my other dream weaving is some actual weaving, I guess. So we did finally we set up the loom that I bought. So it's from Ashford. It's called their Knitter's Loom. I really don't know why it's called the Knitter's Loom. It's just like a rigid heddle loom, but this one, I think the main point of difference from their the loom that they actually call their rigid heddle loom is that this one folds in half. So I feel like it's just a little bit more practical in terms of storage, and you can fold it up while it's like warped, and then unfold it and use it again.
And just keep working on it.
So that's why I chose that, because from my limited understanding of the differences between their different table looms, that was the main difference between their rigid heddle and the Knitter's Loom. And then the Samplet loom, I think, is just smaller. I think that, so they have 3 kind of rigid heddle looms. That's the Knitter's Loom, the rigid heddle, and the Samplet, and I'm pretty sure that that's the main differences, but I'm happy to be corrected if I'm wrong.
And I think the Samplet, that one, I think the larger size is maybe about 30 or 40 centimetres.
Yeah.
So I guess most likely what you would be using that for, apart from just like actually making samples, would be for making scarves. I suppose you could do like tea towels and kind of small things like that.
Napkins and things, so we kind of, over the long weekend, which was a couple of weekends ago, we had a go at like warping it, which I think that was the biggest barrier to entry for me. Was I just couldn't conceptualize
how you do that, but
I think just in my head I just thought it would be a lot more difficult than what it was.
I thought like it was time consuming, like it wasn't a sort of quick thing that you can do in 5 minutes.
No,
but I don't think it was especially difficult.
No, I think it definitely is something that, to me, it seems like it would be a lot easier to do with two people than to do it by yourself. But I think it definitely is possible to do it by yourself. So we really just got some sort of scrap yarn that I had left over from some socks, and we just kind of just practicing. So I haven't actually woven anything in particular. And I think I have seen people who've woven like scarves and stuff with hand-dyed yarn, and it looks really nice. Like just as a different way to use hand-dyed yarn.
And I guess the sort of like variation would just kind of show up quite differently.
Yes.
And I think it will be different depending on whether you use hand-dyed yarn for the warp or the weft as well.
Or for both. And I think if you want to use it for the warp and the weft, you could also use different colours, different skeins. So I would like to kind of experiment with that, but I'm just not too sure, and I guess maybe this is something that I can just try and look for some YouTube videos or do a bit of research, like how much, like to make a sort of standard adult size scarf. Is that something that I can do with like 2 skeins and fingering weight yarn, or and like I guess like what is the best weight to weave with? Is DK, you know, like I'm just not too sure.
I can't remember. I found it somewhere on Ravelry, and I should have actually just like saved this thing, because they had like in their sort of just like project pictures, they had like a picture of like this sort of like worksheet that they had written out with like sort of like a formula, and like it's, you know, you look at like the length that you want it to be, and then you like multiply it by, what is it, the dents per inch?
Yes.
So how many threads you have like per inch, and and then the width of the project that you want, the length and the dents per inch, to like figure out how much yarn you will need for your warp. And then I think they said their formula was then to also just have the same amount of yarn for the weft, and that means that you will generally have a little bit of weft yarn left over, but that you won't run out, I guess.
And I suppose this we were just using with the reed that comes with it, but you can also purchase reeds with different, like for using different weights of fibre. Which I haven't investigated that yet either.
Yes.
So I don't know if, because I am planning to go to Bendigo, the sheep and wool show in a couple of weeks' time, and I think Ashford do have a stall there. So maybe I should actually try and have a bit more of a go before I go.
If you think of any like questions or advice,
not necessarily to buy things, but I guess just it would be a good opportunity to ask in person if I had questions about what types of yarn are best for XYZ, or that type of thing, that I could actually have an opportunity to ask. And I'm assuming they'll probably have a few like demonstration types of things there. So that is my main dream weaving, is some actual weaving. And I guess the other project that I've started to think about, but this is not something that I'm in any great rush to do, is I do have a skein of yarn that I got last year in one of my advent calendars. It's from the Through the Wardrobe Yarn Co. Through, I think it was called Back Through the Wardrobe.
Yes.
So I have a skein of yarn, a sock yarn, and it's a full 100 grams skein because it was from the weekly advent, that's called Queen Susan the Gentle. So I would actually like to make a pair of socks as just like a special commemorative item for Susie, because she was very gentle.
Yes.
Like she really was Queen Susan the Gentle.
Yes,
as a
very
gift
sort of sweet,
for
gentle
Pia.
nature.
But I think I would like to design the pattern myself, not with a view of ever publishing it. Like I think it would just be a special just for Susie. But I think like just for her nature, I want to maybe use a little bit of lace, a little bit of texture, but something like understated and sort of muted. Like that's her personality. Is that
she's very sort of calm
and tranquil. Yeah.
Yes.
So I have started looking through a few dictionaries and stuff, but haven't really settled on anything. And I think I probably want to do a couple of swatches and things like that before I actually use the yarn. But that's sort of like a long-term project. So I do have a few like electronic copies of like different stitch dictionaries, like some that have only lace and some that have like other types of stitches, and I've had a look at a few website like online stitch dictionaries as well, and I've kind of got a few ideas, but I haven't really put anything concrete together. So that will be a long term, like I want to do it justice, so I'm not in a hurry to kind of cast that on straight away, but it is something that I am thinking about, and yeah, I think I will in the first instance just knit some swatches of stitches that I think could look nice together before I try to actually knit it into a sock
design.
Yes. So that is my dream
Queen Susan the Gentle.
Yes, she definitely was Queen Susan the Gentle.
Yes.
So
she was a queen.
The best. So I think, is that more or less everything that we wanted to go through today? So I guess thank you for joining us. We will, so on our channel we have these regular podcast episodes. We have knit and chat videos occasionally, and also I am trying to, although I have been a bit behind with editing and stuff, my monthly crafty moments vlogs, which Pia has also said she would like to
I think I've put in some. I think I've said previously, I think I have lots of crafty moments, I just don't really record.
I have that issue too as well.
So following me around with a camera all the time.
I try to have a vlog once a month a podcast, and maybe plus or minus a knit and chat once a month. They're the types of videos that we have on our channel.
Yes.
If you did like the video and you're not yet subscribed to the channel, we would be delighted if you did subscribe to the channel. And like we said, we welcome any comments or questions. Pia's looking for recommendations for garment patterns that can be used to showcase a variegated
a small amount of a special yarn.
Yes.
And also opinions on whether the sleeves on my t-shirt are too big or not.
Yes. And I've had a few people give me tips about making the cuff for a toe-up sock, but if you have some other magic, secret that works,
I'm sorry, I think I'm just inhaling.
That isn't like a
fluff from this jumper.
Sorry, that isn't a sewn bind off or the knit 2 through the back loop bind off. That's the other main one that people have recommended to me. Either of those I welcome, but I think that's basically it.
Yes.
So thank you very much for joining us for this episode, and we'll hopefully see you in the next one. And until our next video, we wish you all happy stitching. Bye. Bye.